Remember last month when I said I'm expecting an active 2025 spring market? Please forget that because it looks like we're instead going to see another roller coaster year. Between the tariff wars, the Liberal Party elections, provincial elections, and crazy snowstorms, there are enough reasons to bring uncertainty and hesitation with buyers, and while the principles of market dynamics to me suggested that we should be in for a lot of sales activity this spring, there's a lot of pent-up demand of buyers who didn't buy the last few years. Interest rates have dropped by 2 full percentage points and are continuing to drop, and there are a lot of sellers who want to sell. There's a distinct chill in the market that's not just from the icy winter. January 2025 listings were up year over year, increasing nearly 50% across the GTA, while sales were down nearly 8%. Active listings on the market are also up about 70%, and average price is up slightly by 1.5%. That's not very much given the change in interest rates. There was a lot of excitement from sellers going into the new year, and this was likely what drove the increase in listings. As soon as the calendar year rolled over, sellers' expectations, they rose pretty drastically, which is likely what at least partially held back sales numbers from being higher. We did see an initial boost of sales happen in the first week or so of January, when the last few serious buyers from the fall of 2024 finally transacted. But once the US inauguration happened on January 20th and President Trump came at us Canadians with tariffs, the market stalled before it even really began. If you look down here, the 905 saw a bad January with sales transactions down year over year, right across the board from detached all the way down to condos. The 416, we saw transactions up for all freehold and townhouse types, but the Toronto condo market has been pretty bad, as you can see, with sales transaction numbers down about 15% year over year. For condo apartments, we saw a sales to new listings ratio of only 25% for January, which is the lowest ratio that we've seen in January in years. What's driving this low ratio is a combination of shifting buyer demographics, very few investors buying condos, while there are quite a few investors selling off their condos, and the fact that fewer end users both want to and can afford to buy a condo apartment compared to years prior. What's exacerbating the situation further is a high number of condo completions entering the market this year, many of which aren't even contributing to the listing numbers yet. If you browse the assignment groups on Facebook, there are many pre-construction buyers trying to sell off their soon-to-be completed condos, a lot of them at a big loss. In some cases, losing out on their full deposits just to escape any legal liabilities that they have with the builders through the pre-construction contracts. For those unfamiliar, an assignment sale is when someone sells off their contract of a pre-construction project. In Canada, if you can't close on the sale of a real estate deal that is firm, you can't simply just walk away from your deposit without repercussions. The seller can still pursue you legally for damages caused by your unwillingness to close, and if proven in court, which with signed paperwork and witnesses is pretty open and shut, the amount you will owe in damages can be much higher than just the deposit that you lost. I am seeing 416 condo projects coming up for sale as assignments, but the majority of assignment sales that I come across are in the suburbs, the areas of Durham, Halton, and outside the GTA, where newly built houses are having trouble selling. Now here's a look at what we're seeing for showings on a monthly basis. You can see showings are down year over year in January in the 416 from 68,000 showings in January 2024 to 61,500 in Jan 2025. That's down about 9.5%. And in mid-February, we appear to be worse off at only 37,000 showings so far. All of this from a sales perspective does look pretty bad, but while I probably got the timing wrong with the activity of this market, I might not have got the pent-up demand wrong. This is purely anecdotal, but through the open houses that I've both been hosting and have attended with clients, in showing requests that I've had here in Etobicoke, and the phone calls that I've had with other realtors looking to talk shop, I do see a lot of activity that quite frankly surprises me given the political and economic instability that we're under and the weather that we've experienced this brutal February. What I'm seeing is that the buzz around real estate far outweighs the sales that are happening. So why is that? Well, the buyers have reason and desire to buy, but at buyer-friendly prices given the uncertainty in this market. From what I'm seeing for a move-in ready home under 1.3 million in Toronto, there is no lack of buyers willing to pay a buyer-friendly price, which is a very important distinction to make. However, sellers, especially in high demand areas, really do want to sell, but at seller-friendly prices, which is I think what's holding back the market. Sales aren't happening because sellers aren't accepting offers at prices the buyers want. And theoretically, time is on the seller's side because we're still in the pre-spring market. More buyers will come and very likely there will also be more sellers as well. So what's going to happen? Well, there's no certainty on this. These poor market conditions could really drag on for the entire spring because of the election cycles and the potential for more tariffs and more demands from Trump. I recently saw that tariffs on cars will be imposed beginning April 1st, which would be a catastrophe for our economy. But between buyers wanting their price and sellers wanting theirs, it's going to be the first one that flinches that sets the consensus for value in this market. If many sellers get tired of waiting for their price and take the best offer on the table, then the buyer wins. If market sentiment changes and more buyers start offering the seller's desired prices, then the sellers are going to win. But the spring market, the peak buying and selling season, will creep up on us before we know it, starting right after March break, which is from the third week of March all the way to Victoria Day weekend. When the market will peak is a bit of an unknown. Last year's spring market didn't really take off until after Easter weekend, but this is the time of year to have your best shot of selling with the most number of buyers active and to buy a home with the most number of listings on the market. So that's it for me this month. I'm Jonathan Lee, a Toronto area realtor based out of Etobicoke. If you'd like to get in touch to talk about real estate, you can click on the Calendly link below to schedule a call. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.